Right. So basically, in Legion, I decided to actually main Survival Hunter. Now, as many people know, Survival Hunter is one of the least, if not the least, played specs in the entire game right now. And honestly, it is my favourite spec currently. I feel one of the big reasons it isn't played is, I guess, the fact that it's more of a complex spec. Not a lot of people understand how it plays. And also, of course, it could just be like a lot of people don't like it, but I want to get more people to play it because I feel like it's a very solid spec, and I want to get rid of that stigma that survival is like a terrible spec that a lot of people have. So, thought I'd make this guide because I've actually had a lot of people asking me if I could help them play Survival Hunter. So I am going to make this video mainly for them, but if anyone else wants to watch this and want to try Survival Hunter, then sure. This is just going to be a basic guide, so nothing too advanced, because like I said, survival is a complex spec, and as you get further in, the more you understand it, the more things you can do with it. So I'm just going to get straight into the talents first. Well, they did change animal instincts recently. The fact of the matter is that it's got to pick between four abilities and reduce their cooldowns. One of them does not help your DPS whatsoever, so you could get unlucky and just keep getting that over and over. So in my eyes, this is a bit too iffy for me. Like, it could be very good if you say, for example, it keeps putting that to your aspect of the eagle. That could help you out a lot. Next up we have throwing axes, which is personally my favourite. Throwing axes, it's basically, I use it as a filler. It does decent damage. As you can see, it does like almost 300,000 damage at the moment with my gear. And as two charges. I like to use this as a filler rather than Raptor Strike, because Raptor Strike, it costs 10 more focus and it does a lot less damage. Basically, I know you can see Raptor Strike is quite prominent in my action bar. It's like on my number 3. You'd think like maybe I'd use that quite a lot, but honestly it is my least used ability in my entire rotation. It's honestly useless. So that brings me on to Way of the Mok'Nathal. Now you see, Way of the Mok'Nathal, it can be good if you can keep it up. Let's say if you're in a patchwork style fight where you can literally just stand there and just hit the boss just repeatedly and not have to worry about anything. But in reality is, in Legion, there's going to be next to no fights like that, so you're not going to be able to keep Way of the Mok'Nathal up at 4 stacks permanently. And even if there is a patchwork style fight, it can still be incredibly difficult to keep those 4 stacks up. So in my opinion, throwing axes is the best choice here for constant, reliable DPS. Moving on to the next tier, we have Snake Hunter, Mortal Wounds, and Murder of Crows. A Murder of Crows is... it's okay if, let's say you're questing or something like that. It can be good for that if you can reliably kill monsters fast. So let's say for leveling, you can just keep using it over and over. But other than that, in a raid scenario or something like that, it's just not useful at all. It can actually, well, it's just useless. I don't know how to say it. Mortal Wounds is, again, this... a lot of people see this as useless as well. I used to use it, personally, because I thought, like, it could be useful in boss fights when it's got a longer fight, so you have more chances to get mongoose bites. But overall, that 2% chance isn't much, because you can only have one lacerate really up at a time. Like, you can have 2, but you see, lacerate has a 10-second cooldown and it lasts for 12 seconds, so it's like you can only have 2 for 2 seconds, so it's not really worth it. Then we have Snake Hunter, which immediately grants you 3 charges of mongoose bite, which is like the main focus of the survival spec. So in my opinion, Snake Hunter would be the best option here, as if you want burst, let's say, seeing as Mongoose Bite, that stacks up to 6 times. So you can do the 3 charges that you have, pop Snake Hunter, and then do the 3, and then you're at 6 stacks. So moving on to the level 45 talents, there's not really, doesn't really matter that much which one you pick here, because none of them are a DPS increase, but Trailblazer gives you the most reliable movement, and because, let's say, right, I'll give you an example. On Elrath Renferal, whatever, the part where she... Oh, I can't remember. Oh, feeding time, that's it. So on feeding time, she jumps up in the air, then you have to run far away to avoid damage. That's where Trailblazer can come in handy, because you can use that 30% speed to get over to the other side quickly, say if you don't have Aspect of the Cheetah available. Whereas Fast Rider and Post Haste, they focus on Harpoon, and Harpoon you can't use whenever. So basically you have to have a target for Harpoon. It's not like Disengage, and Survival Hunters don't have Disengage. It's obviously been replaced by Harpoon. So in that kind of situation, Trailblazer is the best choice. Next up we have the level 60 talents, and that's Caltrops, Improved Traps, and Steel Trap. Caltrops, it can be an okay ability, but honestly I'd say it does slightly more AoE damage out of the 3. And also, I'd say it's more of a kind of a PvP talent, but not really. It's useless for single target, let's just say that. And then we have Improved Traps, which reduces the cooldown of Freezing Trap by 15%, and the cooldown of Explosive and Tar Trap by 50... Did I say 50? Okay, never mind. Explosive and Tar Trap by 50%. So, Explosive Trap is one of your highest damaging abilities as survival, especially in conjunction with the Expert Trapper talent, which I'll get into later. So as you can see, mine has a 12-second cooldown, which is very good. But that's including a trait on the artifact weapon, which I will go into later, and I'll recommend a path you should go on the artifact weapon. So yeah, that can be a heavy DPS increase. Could also be good for PvP if that's what you want. And then we have Steel Trap, which replaces Freezing Trap. So this can be good. See, it holds a Steel Trap, mobilizes them, and puts bleed on for 30 seconds. Steel Trap is okay damage. It's very close to having improved traps with Explosive Trap, but I find it's a bit slow, it's a bit clunky, because, wait, I'll show you. Because Steel Trap, it's targeted, and it can be a bit clunky to put down, but Explosive Trap just instantly goes down by itself. Of course, I can't change something like that. Yeah, but basically just, I personally go with Improved Traps, but Steel Trap can be viable as well, so it's like, you can kind of go for a personal preference, but just bear in mind that Explosive Trap is an AoE, and Steel Trap is not. So next we have the level 75 talents, which is Sticky Bomb, Ranger's Net, and Camouflage. Again, it doesn't really matter which one you pick, because none of them are a DPS increase. I just personally go for Camouflage because it can be good if you need to get out of a situation and just heal up. Because you can get out of combat and just camouflage and it'll heal you up to basically full health. There's like Ranger's Net, that's more of a PvP talent, and Sticky Bomb, I haven't really found a good use for it. It maybe could be used at Il'gynoth for knocking around the globules, the Icors, but other than that, I can't really see a use for it. Next we have the level 90 talents, which are Butchery, Dragon's Fire Grenade, and Serpent Sting. So I personally use Dragon's Fire Grenade in every situation. Serpent Sting just isn't comparable to Dragon's Fire Grenade and Butchery. It just straight up doesn't do the same amount of damage. Butchery replaces Carve. Carve is basically your main filler AoE attack It's not that strong, but it can be good. So Butchery replaces that. I'd just like to mention Carve has no cooldown, costs 40 focus. Butchery has a 13.3 second recharge, so you can't just keep using it like you can with Carve until you run out of focus, of course. It does about double the damage of Carve, but personally I like to take Dragon's Fire Grenade, because while you take Dragon's Fire Grenade, you also still have Carve. So what Dragon's Fire Grenade does is you throw it at the enemy, and it creates a dot on that one enemy, and then the dot on that enemy does AoE damage to everything around that enemy and to the one that you first cast it on. So basically it's a balance of AoE and single target, because this does more single target damage than both of these abilities, and then it also has an AoE component, so it's more like better of both worlds. So next we have the level 100 talents. We have Spitting Cobra, Expert Trapper, and Aspect of the Beast. This is literally no competition. This is pretty much the only time I'm going to say this is the only one you should use, because I don't feel like my build, my spec, whatever, is necessarily the best. It's just what I use, but here I would definitely say go for Expert Trapper, because as you can see there, it says increases explosive traps damage to the triggering enemy by 75%. This can be a huge single target damage increase, whereas Spitting Cobra does barely any damage. It does like 2,750 damage per second. I mean, yes, it gives you 3 focus every 1 second, but you don't need that. You'll see when I show later, I'll show my rotation and everything, you don't need it. There's almost no downtime with survival. Obviously there is a little bit, but there's not much. And then Aspect of the Beast. This can be good, maybe if you're like soloing some hard content or something, you need your pet to tank. But, and also maybe for PvP, as you can see the cunning, reduces movement speed, but again, you don't need that because the Survival Hunter's slow. It's very, very nice. And the Ferocity component, honestly, that damage just doesn't compare to the Explosive Trap damage at all. So I'm just going to go over all the abilities and just tell you what they do and their priorities and things like that. So first we have Mongoose Bite. So Mongoose Bite is, like I said earlier, the main focus of this spec. Like, everything revolves around Mongoose Bite. It's literally, yeah. Okay, so that deals heavy amounts of damage, which increases by 50% for every Mongoose Bite you use. Now, it says this buff lasts for 14 seconds. It does not get refreshed when you use a new Mongoose Bite. I will show you here. See, 12, 11, I'm going to use it again, and it keeps going down, but I can see I've got another stack. Okay. So yeah, and that also goes with your artifact ability, which is Fury of the Eagle. Fury of the Eagle does heavy damage in an AoE, and it's channeled. I'll show you quick. Now, this also gets affected by Mongoose Fury, so you can increase its damage by 300%. And also, the main component of it that you really like, well, what I really like, is that it increases the duration of Mongoose Fury by 4 seconds. But that doesn't mean you can just cast it and then cancel it, because Larry, fuck's sakes. Basically, you cast it and it increases by the duration of the channel. So if you cancel the channel of your artifact ability, the rest of the 4 seconds that it added on will get removed. So you can't just activate it, then deactivate it, and expect to have that 4 seconds there. So next we have Lacerate, which is basically just, it's a basic dot. That's all you need to know about it. And then we have Raptor Strike. Then we have Flanking Strike. which is an attack that both you and your pet do. If the target is attacking you, your pet will deal 50% increased damage and 400% increased threat. If the target is not attacking you, so basically if it's attacking anything else, your attack will deal 50% increased damage. It also has double the chance to basically trigger your mastery, and that is, it gives your pet's attacks the chance to grant you an additional charge of Mongoose Bite. So like I said, Mongoose Bite is the main focus of the spec, so Flanking Strike is very helpful in that. But I'm just going to say, it may be the main focus of the spec. You might see like, oh yeah, Mastery should be good. It's not. Mastery is the worst stat for survival. So I've already said about throwing axes. I've already said about carve. Dragon's Fire Grenade there, and we have Explosive Trap, of course. I've still got Steel Trap. 1 second. Okay, now getting on to the main cooldown of the spec. Basically the only cooldown unless you talent into Snake Hunter. We have Aspect of the Eagle, which grants you and your pet 10% increased critical strike chance on all abilities, and your pet's attacks have an additional 25% chance to grant you a charge of Mongoose Bite. This lasts for 10 seconds. Now it doesn't usually have a 48-second cooldown, it starts off at a 2-minute cooldown. The reason mine is so low is because I have this legendary, which reduces its cooldown by 50%, and a trait in my artifact that reduces its cooldown by 20%. So that's basically all the main offensive abilities you need to know about. And of course there's the defensive cooldowns, Aspect of the Turtle and Exhilaration, which I'm pretty sure both other Hunter specs have. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the artifact and what I feel like what traits you should go into first. Okay, so basically you start here, and then you go straight to Iron Talons, because of course you have no choice. And then to Sharpened Fang, which increases the damage of your Mongoose Bite. And then to My Beloved Monster, which increases the critical strike chance of Flanking Strike. Our Flanking Strike does do very heavy damage, so this is very good. And then this is more of a useless trait, but I took it, I'd say take it, just because you need to get to this next trait, which reduces the cooldown of your aspects by 20%, which is very useful. It takes about 40 seconds. No. It takes about 20 seconds off Aspects of the Eagle. Then you want to come back down here. Do not take Talon Strike, because basically, as you can see, I'm about to say, come here to Talons of Engagement. Now you see, I haven't actually gone there. That's because when I first started, I didn't really know much, and I just wanted my golden traits, because that's just kind of how I am. And I went for Talon Strike, and then I went to Eagle's Bite. You really shouldn't do this, because over like a long boss fight, Eagle's Bite will do maybe like 2 or 3% of my DPS, and then Talon Strike would be like 5-6%. They really aren't worth the artifact power. So yeah, so you want to come back down here and go to Talons of Engagement, and then Raptor's Cry. Both of those are basically just so we can get to this as quick as possible. Well, after going this way. So yeah, you want to go to Raptor's Cry, and then Explosive Force, and then you get Aspect of the Skylord. Aspect of the Eagle increases all damage you deal by 30% for its duration. So if you don't have this, basically Survival has no way of increasing their damage dramatically using a cooldown. And then after you've come down here, you want to go up to Hunter's Guile, which reduces the cooldowns of your traps. And then you come here to Lacerating Talons, and then you get Eagle's Bite, and then Fluffy Go. After that, you can get Talon Strike if you wish. Well, you may as well get Talon Strike, to be honest. And then get Hellcarver, and then Hunter's Bounty. And it's, yeah, that is the direction I would urge you to go. As, I mean, I didn't go it, but I explained why. Okay, next I'm going to go more into my rotation. Alright, so next I'm just going to go over my rotation. Well, it's my old rotation, because my legendary has changed a lot. Might change my rotation a lot. So, oops, didn't mean to do that. There's one thing I would like to mention quickly is that survival has a 5-yard range on most of its abilities, so it can stand further away than most melee classes, which I find very useful in a lot of situations. Right, so basically, you want to start with getting all your dots on the target, so that's Lacerate, Explosive Trap, and Dragon's Fire Grenade. So you can do this in any order you want, it honestly doesn't matter. So Lacerate, Explosive, Dragon's Fire, and then Explosive. Alright, that's basically just what you want to start off. And then you want to use 2 Mongoose Bites, then Aspect, and then use as many as you can, and then Flanking Strike, and then use as many as you can. And then make sure before the buff falls off, you want to use Fury of the Eagle. And then right at the end of Fury of the Eagle, if you have a charge of Mongoose Bite, use it. Like right at the end, you have to be quick with it. And then that'll give you another 6-stack Mongoose Bite. So after you've done that, reapply your dots. And then flanking, you should be able to Flanking Strike again. So do that. And then use any Mongoose Bite charges you have, and then use Snake Hunter, and then use those 3 again. And that should give you a few charges of Mongoose Bite. And then just keep using Mongoose Bite as much as you can while you have the Mongoose Fury buff active. In between that, of course, keep your dots up when you have the downtime, and if you have nothing else to do, use throwing axes in between that time. And then if you're out of throwing axes charges and stuff like that, you can use Raptor Strike just as a last resort filler. But try to keep your focus high for whenever you can Flanking Strike. Of course, you want a Flanking Strike on cooldown, especially if you don't have a Mongoose Bite charge available. Now, when your Mongoose Fury buff that you had when you were using Snake Hunter falls off, you want to let your Mongoose Bite charges recharge up to at least 2, ideally 3. Never want to use Mongoose Bite at 1 charge. That is a complete waste. So while you're waiting for them to recharge, just keep your dots up, keep filling, keep Flanking Striking, all that, as much as you can. And then when you hit 2 or 3, you obviously want to use your Mongoose Bites again. Now, basically at this point, you're just going through your standard rotation. So whenever Aspect of the Eagle is available, you're going to want to use it. Now, of course, I'm going to leave this to your own judgment, kind of when to use it. So let's say you've only got like a couple seconds left on your Mongoose Fury buff. You shouldn't really use Aspect of the Eagle because you're going to waste a couple seconds of the Aspect of the Eagle. Whereas you could use it to build up another Mongoose Fury buff. And the same kind of goes with Snake Hunter. So yeah, that is the basic rotation that I use and I would kind of recommend using while you're at a lower level. So I'm just going to go through it quickly and show you how I do it and how it works. Right, so hopefully that gave you just basic understanding of how I do it and how it works. I did take it a bit slower there, so you could kind of just take it in. So don't take my DPS there on SCADA to heart, because it's not my actual DPS. So yeah, I think that is just about everything you'll need to know to get started with survival. So if you would like me to do a more advanced guide, if you are interested in survival, please just let me know, comment, whatever. You can message me, I don't mind. I can help you personally if that's what you would like. I don't mind doing that. I've done that quite a lot in the past. I've helped a few hunters get into survival. If you're having trouble understanding any of this, you can just send me a message. I'll be happy to help you. So yeah, let me know if you want a more advanced guide, and thank you for watching.